Welcome back. This is only day 8 of construction. It's amazing how much progress we're making already. We're going to cover that continuation of our progress of opening our new winery. We're also going to talk about how important it is to be very aware of your costs of entry into the business. And this really is the most foundational piece of opening your business. And then after that, we're going to talk about the number one question I'm most often asked, and that is, Jim, how did you get in the wine business? Let's go. So, one of the most important things that you have to consider if you're going to open a business, you're thinking of opening a business, you're planning on opening a business, or when you actually start building your business, is the cost of entry into opening the doors. Most of that work is done way outside the view of the public. They'll never know what's happening, but you won't have a functioning business or a safe business if you're not doing those things right up front. For us, it's the cost of changing the plumbing in this building. We are adding a 3rd bathroom, we're adding 2 commercial dishwashers, we're adding 5 sinks into the kitchen area. And with all of that, we needed a complete new underground wastewater system. That's the sewer pipes coming out of the building and going into the sewer main. And then a complete new water main coming into the building that was bigger to supply enough water. Why are we doing that? Because that's safe, it's effective, it's for hygienic purposes, and we're doing it now because we're not going to fill the entire building when we first open up. We're only going to use about 2/3 of the building, and also we're not going to take all the property and develop that on day 1. But if we do this now, we can add more things into the building and more benefits on the outside of the building without having to tear up these floors and put whole new plumbing processes in place. So one of the things you have to be very aware of if you're assessing a property to put your business in, does the existing building already have enough plumbing underground and coming into the building so you don't have to do what we're doing now? Does it have a sprinkler system or it doesn't have a sprinkler system? Those are some considerations. For us to go downtown Bentonville or downtown Rogers, the price per square foot was very prohibitive, even if those things already existed. This is very close to those areas. The rent structure worked out good for us, and it makes sense for us to invest this money underneath the concrete with drainage and new water main coming in so we have enough water supply to supply our business on day 1, but also when we expand it into the rest of the building and the rest of the property. All right, so this is only the 8th day of work, and this is where it really gets scary. They're plumbing contractors. They are camera shy, but this is how they are getting pipes through the bottom and foundation of a building. That's the white one is the sewer pipe, the main drains. They got to put a bigger one of those. And they are using chains, this heavy machine, and a bar to be able to attach a new drain from outside the building. But this blue line here is where the new water line is going in. They have to trench this out. This is the new 1-inch water line. That's a main shutoff. They're going to attach it to that. And that's going to go underneath the building. And they've already have that underneath the foundation of the building. And it is the other end of this long pipe is sitting inside the building already. And we'll show you that when we're not going to get in their way. These are some of the big decisions you have to make and have to consider if you're going to take over a structure that does not have lots of plumbing or lots of bathrooms. But also it's a way you can assess if a location is good for you because it already has all this heavy underground work done already. But for us, this makes sense because the rent here is much lower than downtown Bentonville or Rogers, but we're very accessible. Parking is easy. And so overall, this made sense for us to invest this in this building here. The number one question that people always ask me is, Jim, how did you get into the winery business? Well, it all started with this. So I'm a pharmacist. Susan and I were living in Chicago. She's a physical therapist. I've had a 28-and-a-half-year career at Walgreens. So I was out in San Francisco, either presenting or attending a medical conference at a really nice hotel. Sue joined me for the weekend. We went to the concierge because one of my directors, who was driving me nuts saying, Jim, you're so close to Napa Valley, you got to take Sue there. And Sue and I actually never even drank. And this is about 25 years ago. So we went to the concierge desk, very nice lady, We explained what we wanted to do, and we saw the placards for the wine tours on buses and on limos. We said, we'd like to go on one of those because we've never been to Napa Valley. We really don't drink. We don't know anything about it. And she looked at us and she said, you guys really don't belong on there. And we went, oh man, we are losers. And she goes, no, we didn't actually do it that bad. But she understood that we were embarrassed. She goes, no, those are drunk tanks. We have a special program. It's just a gentleman. It's his weekend passion. He actually is an engineer, but he does this on the weekend. He's a historian of Napa Valley in Sonoma. It's a horrible name, but it's a great tour, and we get the most positive reactions from it. It's called the Vino Van. And so we made arrangements with a gentleman called Tom Delaney. He did the Vino Van for about 30 years. Tom actually just retired in December of 2024 after 30 years of doing these trips. But he took us out just in his minivan. It only had 5 Admiral seats. We were the only 2 in the van that day. He knew 75 or more winery owners and hundreds of winery workers. So he took us to the floor of Napa Valley, to one of the original founders and legends in Napa Valley, Anthony Bell, at his original winery. And we walked in and we thought, hey, this is pretty cool. We've seen this on movies. And we told him that, hey, we're sorry, we don't know anything about wine. We really don't drink. He took 2 glasses and he went to a big steel tank of Chardonnay that was chilly, opened the tap, poured a glass for Sue and I, and we looked at each other expecting nothing, but we tasted it and we went, that's what fine wine is. And that's what started this whole thing. So fast forward over the next 7 or 8 years, became a student of the game, looked for property in Napa and Sonoma, but that's not for working people. We ended up out in the Sierra foothills in an area full of all family wineries with wonderful wines and wonderful people, and actually met the person who became our winemaker, Marco Capelli, bought a piece of property that he had that was perfect for us to plant our vineyard, him and his team making our wine, and a vineyard management team, Myers Ranch, with Rick Wickham, a legend in the vineyard management business. Found great people. They're making great wine. Continue to work in my second career down in Arkansas, where we live now and where we're building this winery. And since then, we've been selling our wines online and wholesaling it to 3 states. We never built that tasting room out in California because we fell in love with our new adopted home in Arkansas. That's why we're building it right here. So thanks again for joining. Remember, you gotta subscribe down below. Send us comments or questions below. Share this video, hit like on this video, because we're gonna show you what it takes to actually open a new winery and new restaurant all in one. And just give you another thing that makes you nervous. I'm walking in the other day helping the plumbers bring boxes off the truck. And then one of the plumbers said, Jim, don't drop that box. It costs $800. So I did not want to drop that box. And I want to just announce that I now own the first backflow valve I've ever owned. I don't know what you do with this. I don't know where you put it, but I'm a pretty proud owner of this. But I do know what it is. This goes on the fresh water line. So the fresh water coming into the building, if it ever, something happens, a water main breaks in the building, there can't be any backflow into the commercial fresh water system. So I'm a very proud owner of my first backflow valve, an integral part of putting in this building. Cost us $800. Remember that, you make pennies on the dollar, but you spend money dollars at a time. So this $800 valve, we make 10 cents profit on each sales dollar. We have to have $8,000 of sales to pay for this, but it's worth every penny to keep us and to keep all of you safe.